Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, as always, Jacob Boyers. Jacob, the Cats are back. The University of Kentucky basketball might be back with a huge win over the Vanderbilt Commodores at Rupp Arena over the weekend, 91-77, in a game in which Wildcats dominated from the tip until the final buzzer. And one of these games that you and I have been talking that we have just been waiting for this team to control a higher level opponent from tip-off and just kind of go away with the game with ease. And finally seeing that on Saturday, what a relief it was, man. And it really has. I don't know if it's changed anything in what you think of in the grand scheme of, this basketball team, but it might have changed me a little bit.
Yeah, I think by far probably their most complete game. It's either, maybe this or Arkansas, but, in this one there wasn't even a moment where they really didn't perform well. And I think even, the announcer kind of hit it early on. Vandy was making some shots to, go back and forth to start the game for a minute, but they were all contested shots. I thought Kentucky's defense opposed to the first time we played Vandy was night and day. I thought obviously the physicality was better. And then when you get those performances from Oweh and Chandler, it just kind of, with those three guards playing as well as they did on Saturday and, Aberdeen not turning the ball over, getting other guys involved. I wouldn't say it changes it too much because I did think these kind of performances were in there, but, you kind of saw what could be a formula for some mild success here in March.
Yeah, and the thing that I think has kind of changed it a little bit for me, not that I think this team went from, around a 32 team to like an Elite 8 performer, but just seeing that these guards are finally starting to become consistent enough to where even if one of them isn't having a great game, the other two find a way to step up. Early in the season, we didn't have that. It felt like if you could count on Otega, and then it was either Collin or Denzel steps up. Lately, it's been all three of them, and 61 points for the three of them in this game. I mean, the worst shooter technically was Denzel Aberdeen on 5 of 10 shooting and shot 50% from the field and knocked down 3 threes. We've mentioned it. This team is going to go as far as those three guards go. To see them score 61 against a team in which Vandy, who just absolutely destroyed us the last time we played, and nobody played good. Such a sigh of relief, I think I would say, because this is the first time I've been comfortable from tip-off to the finish of a game. Really just, I don't know, was there a point in the game where you looked at it, you're like, oh, here comes Vandy, they're coming back?
No, I mean, there were moments where, Vandy would get it to 13 or whatever, and you're kind of thinking like, all right, don't let them back in it. And then Kentucky constantly answered the bell. As soon as they got it to 13, we would go back on, a 5-6-0 run and expand that lead right back. And they never really let Vandy into too much of a striking distance. And, I bring it back to the defense. I thought, they weren't letting Vandy get a lot of open looks from behind the arc. They had a couple that they missed, but for the most part, just about every three they took was contested. And then whether it was, Chandler knocking down a big three or Otega getting in the lane and getting, an and one, or, Aberdeen had a couple big ones too. It felt like they just always, the second that lead started to trickle down to that 13-14 mark, they got it right back up and, responded. And that's something we necessarily haven't seen from this team. We mentioned how many games where they had an opportunity, it felt like, to kind of put it away and put it out of reach and never really could do it. And then this one, it felt like they did it probably 4 or 5 different times throughout little stretches.
Yeah, I believe that a lot of that was solely because when we did make those substitutions, it wasn't a immediate negative. Those guys were able to kind of just
Yeah, I still got to talk about I'll let you go, but I still need to talk about the subs.
I mean, listen, and we're going to agree on the same thing here. When you're rolling like that and Collin comes out, hits 2 threes, in the first minute of the game, I don't need to see him going out at the first media timeout. I mean, there's still things that drive me crazy with what we're doing here, substitution-wise, but it was nice to see that it wasn't a immediate 6-0 run when you saw Jasper, BG, Mo all come in all together, which it seems like they always do. It was good to see that those guys at least held serve. And I mean, the only one who had a plus minus was PG, obviously. That's what I'm taking away from this game. This is the first time we've seen that bench kind of give, outside of Muhammad, give you something in a game that gave you a net positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I don't want to be negative after we played so well Saturday.
Oh, I've been getting critiqued for the past 2 weeks on being, the negative guy in this sphere here. And we just win by 14, probably our second or third best win of the season outside of Arkansas and St. John's.
I mean, you brought it up.
You're going to come in here with the negativity?
I got to touch on it, right? I mean, we talk about the facts and the truth here, Cam. No different. I think everybody.
We try to.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm not going to be super negative about it or spend too much time talking about it. But like, you still can't go Trent, Mo, BG, and Jasper on the floor all at once, and you did that pretty early in this game. And look, knock on wood, it worked in this one, and it didn't kill you. But I mean, if you do something 20 times and 19 of the times it has a negative result, I can't sit there and point at the one time that it didn't cost you or kill you and say like, okay, well maybe they figured it out. Because back to all the conversations we've had in the past few weeks, like I think it puts those guys at an unfair advantage. I think you saw the little bit that Jasper played later in the game. He looked so much more comfortable playing out there next to Denzel, and still Denzel being kind of the primary ball handler. Like, I just think all four of those guys at once is not a recipe for success, and you were able to get away with it in this one. It's, I think that's going to be something that probably leans Pope to continue to do it. I mean, obviously he was doing it regardless, but I still don't think it's going to be a recipe for success, whether it's at some point in the SEC tournament or if next Saturday you come out and you play a good first 6 minutes against Florida and you're winning or tied or something, and then you make that mass substitution. Like, I don't foresee it working the way it worked against Vandy. But that's going to be the extent of my negativity because, again, I think overall it was a really good game. Jasper, I'm not going to say he was great out there, but he still did some things that, were finally some positives.
From what we've seen from Jasper over the past, I mean, I don't want to say month, but even just last 2-3 weeks, this was a night and day performance. And it's not like he did anything crazy. I mean, only 12 minutes, 3 points. But again, he didn't kill
take any
while
bad
he was
shots.
out there.
No really bad turnovers. I think that's kind of the big thing. And, Pope talked about it before the game. When Kentucky has 11 turnovers or less, you can almost point to whether they win or lose based on that stat. In this game, you had 11, and I thought it was a really good game. And I know we keep talking about it, but man, and he was overshadowed by Collin and Oweh. But what Denzel's giving you at the point guard position, I think it can't be overstated, like how much of an impact that he's had positively on this team compared to, where we were at the beginning of the season and early SEC play. But I mean, his last 4 games, 16 assists and 1 turnover, and he's averaging, he's playing more than 35 minutes a game in those situations. Like, all of our turnovers have really come from everybody else. I think you found a constant and a consistent player that you need. And I think you kind of brought it up last week or maybe a little before that, but he really is becoming your most consistent player. I mean, this one, he had a really quiet 15 points. And, if you go back to early January, we would have been talking about 15 points. This is the best game he's ever played. And he was, phenomenal. And we would have, been extremely excited for it. And he was essentially overshadowed by Collin, Oweh, and even to an extent, maybe even Malachi a little bit. And to have him, if you're going to get this kind of performance from him, I am with you that it elevates this team because I think it just makes everything else kind of click. And when Collin's shooting that way it opens up stuff for Otega. Otega, when he's finishing around the rim, like, again, could we be in the second game of the tournament or even first round and, Otega can't finish a basket around the rim and Chandler's going 2 of 6? Like, it's a very real possibility, but you do kind of see when things are clicking, like what this team can kind of do.
Yeah, and I just want to circle back because I want to put a bow on the bench guys before we start talking about the starters in depth. 'Cause I do want to talk about how we think they can, maybe take a stride or turn the corner going into conference tournament and obviously going into the March Madness. But, correct me if I'm wrong, but your and I's big discrepancy on what we think Pope should be doing with the bench is not necessarily the minutes that these guys are getting. Like, we're talking about there was 30 minutes between the three of them, Brandon Garrison, Trent Noah, and Jasper Johnson. Right now, with the current construct of a roster we have, I'm not sure if you can abide by giving them much less than that just because of, even in this one, you had 31 minutes for Collin, 37 for Denzel, and 34 for Otega. So those guys are all playing extended minutes. I think the thing that you and I have a big,
just playing them all together.
It's just that, and it's always, for whatever reason, it seems like Yelovich gets a nice start early, Otega gets some easy buckets. In this one, it was Collin got some early buckets for you. You get a nice lead, or you're staying pat with whoever you're playing, and then it just from a lineup perspective in general, the lineup just doesn't make sense. The guys that you're bringing in all together, I don't mind the fact that those guys are getting 30 minutes a game. Now, hopefully, we're going to be getting some good news, and maybe JQ is going to be stealing some of those minutes. Maybe even Cam Williams is going to be stealing some of those minutes here down the stretch. But the way the roster is constructed right now, I think 30 minutes for those guys is fine. Yep. I just think you have to balance that with them staying out there with other starters. And I know it's definitely easier said than done. But we do have to find some sort of balance there when it comes to bringing all these guys in, because having Jasper and Trent on the floor together, it just doesn't work. And especially when you throw in having Brandon Garrison and then having Mohamed Diabate and then bringing in one starter. We don't have that one starter that can carry those other four guys to make that a successful lineup. And I think that's where you and I are looking at this holistically and wondering if Pope is going to change that going forward. Hopefully getting back these additions potentially is maybe going to fix that.
Yeah. And, I also think, like we've talked about at length, it makes whatever that one starter is, look a lot worse in those 5 minutes.
Always. They look so bad during that time.
Denzel's maybe the one you can kind of get away with it, and he was the one it felt like was out there for the vast majority of that. But we've talked at length of how much worse Otega looks with that lineup, how much worse at times Collin can look with that lineup when the defense pretty much knows he's the sole offense and the only one. If we do get Cam and JQ back, I hope that Pope keeps this kind of short rotation. And if you can pretty much tell me that Cam's going to take, Trent's minutes and JQ is going to take BG's, I'm all for it, and I'm ready to sign up.
It's A-okay with me.
But if you're telling me they're going to come back and probably not be 100%, and then you're still going to find 10 to 12 minutes for Garrison and another 8 to 10 for Trent, I'm probably not as excited about it, to be honest, because then I think you're back to where we were earlier in the year, where you just almost have too many players that are playing minutes that they probably shouldn't. And, I think you would agree at this point, I think it's very clear, Collin Oweh and, Denzel, outside of foul trouble or injuries, they have to be playing 35 plus minutes a game for this team to be very successful and do what we're, potentially hoping they can do and make a run to the second weekend. And I think that's got to be the recipe in order for that to happen.
Between those three, you probably want them playing, 105 minutes of your team's 200?
I want every single one of them 35 plus.
That's what 35 apiece is right at 105. So that's what you and I think have always agreed on, or at least especially this last month when those guards have really taken over and you've seen consistency from them.
Yep.
And then when you're talking about that last 95 minutes, I don't want it to be like just how you mentioned there. I don't want it to be if Quaintance comes back, if Cam Williams comes back, it's 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. You get 5, you get 5. I want it to be a BG. I'm sorry, buddy, you just don't have a role on this team. We get into foul trouble. Maybe I can find you some minutes there. Trent Noah, you guys know my feelings on Trent. I don't even think he deserves to be getting 6 minutes a game. And I don't think that's too much to ask of Cam Williams coming back off of a broken foot 6 minutes a game. I mean, obviously, you're not going to want him out there playing 15 to 20 minutes a game coming back with the conditioning issues I'm sure he's going to have. And same thing for Jaden Quaintance. If you can just schedule him in for 12 full out, give it your all minutes like he had against St. John's, I think you're signing up for the best version of him that you're going to get too. And then that still leaves Jasper with 12 and Mohamed Diabate with 23 minutes. And I like that. If you can get it going. I texted you, just a picture of Jaden Quaintance earlier today. I was like, are we getting good news? Maybe. I mean, this is the best it's looked in, a month and a half now?
Yeah, I was pretty certain he wasn't going to play, and
so was I. Yeah,
and I was pretty certain fairly quickly, after he missed a couple. I do want to say, I know his dad had some thoughts, and that's whatever. I don't think it's.
Can I say something to that real quick?
Go ahead.
I fully understand your take, and Jake, you know this as a father. Fully understand you taking that for your children. You're on Twitter, dude.
It always does more harm than good when a parent talks.
It's not going to help anything. If anybody truly knows Jaden Quaintance and has had any conversations with him, you know how intelligent, how likable he is, and everyone knows that basketball is his life. This guy carries a basketball around 24/7. You can almost never find him without one. When you're adding comments like that, oh, don't talk about my son, you want to find the smoke, I'm all about the smoke, here I am, yeah, dude, you're a big dude. I know why JQ got his size. I don't think anybody's actually going to want to go and fight you. I think I think the reason for a lot of this hostility has been the fact that I think Mark Pope needs to take some ownership of it. I think the rest of the staff does. There just has not really been clear communication around a lot of this. When you just say you just put in the general quotes, it's knee swelling, not, hey, when did this start happening? Not like a timeline for anybody. You leave a lot of speculation to be out there, a lot of people to talk like you and I to fill voids of what is happening? Let's start to think of what could be going on. And obviously, his dad's been Twitter happy the entire time he's been at UK. Yeah. Please just stay off of Twitter. And this is somebody who I didn't get a Twitter until I needed to for this. Just stay off Twitter.
Yeah, and I'll say, to your point of the staff, they haven't done him a ton of favors. We even talked about it back when, however long ago, that team picture came out, and the only guy not in it is JQ. And I'm like, it's probably, I said the most likely explanation was he was doing some type of rehab during it, but it's you're creating this kind of, to your point, the void or And
how about, what game was it? The Tennessee game where they had all three of the injured guys sitting in media row, one of the media sections? And granted, all three of them were sitting there, Cam, Jalen, and Jaden Quaintance, but JQ stands out a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed. He's a rather large guy, so even stuff like that, it just lets a lot of speculation to be had.
Yeah, but back to the point I was going to make. I never thought with JQ it was he didn't care. He doesn't want to be out there. I think it's pretty clear. Even early on, he was pushing everybody for him to come back, and that's what all the reports were at the time. And I know his dad reaffirmed that on Twitter, but we all knew that he was pressuring the coaches and staff, saying, I feel ready and I want to go. And it's very possible that he tweaked something that caused swelling, or he came back too soon and it caused his knee to swell up. So I've never been on the train of JQ doesn't want to be out there. I think there was some sort of knee issue. So it is nice for him to continue to push and try to make a last-second push here in March. How much of a contributor will he be down the stretch? If he plays even at all, I don't know. I think that's another one of those just kind of tough situations. But our hopes and dreams of after the St. John's game of saying, he's going to get to a point where he's going to be a guy that's going to have to be on the floor for 30-plus minutes, I think if you can have him pretty much every game, SEC tournament on to give you 8 to 10 minutes, I'm fully ready to sign up for it. And, again, just let him take that Brandon Garrison role. But I do appreciate him working to get back to it. I've never felt like, and I know we've said it 100 times, it was a Shaden Sharp kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think, I know there's some people talking online that it's because he's 29th in one of the mock drafts and he realizes he has to play to get back out there. Like, I think a lot of times we look too much into that when at the end of the day, there's just a rational explanation of he probably is hurt. And if the kid could play, I think he probably would play. But to your point, I don't think the staff's made it easy on him publicly. And it's a tough one. I think Pope probably in his head thinks this is the best way to handle it with the kid and, just be as vague as possible, because let's say he really did possibly re-injure it and they're looking at all different types of options. I don't know if you want to put that out there ahead of his potential draft stock. So, I'm sure Pope kind of has his reasons for it, but to your point, it creates this thing for the fans to kind of speculate and, say the kid doesn't care when, based on all reports and everybody around him, like, it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, and let's also just look at this. He had the surgery on March 19th.
Yep, not even a year.
Came back in December. This guy tore his ACL, his meniscus, and had a fracture in his knee as well. So it wasn't like it was just one thing.
Yep.
And we've kind of gotten to the point with sports medicine that ACLs usually take anywhere from like 9 to 11 months, somewhere in that range for you to come back. Obviously, this guy cares, and he cares a whole hell of a lot. I mean, you talk to the strength staff and those guys, they talk about how much he's just in there pushing the boundaries, like continuing to try and rehab to get better. So I don't think that was ever anything, at least that you and I were ever contemplating, that Jaden didn't want to be on the floor. I know there for a little bit, I had a little bit of speculation that it might have just been something to where his father was holding him out, didn't want him to get re-injured after. You saw how he got used in the Bellarmine game, and what was it, the Missouri game where he like barely played, was a non-factor. Yeah, and then I believe that's when the tweet came out, was during that game as well. I had thought about that for a little bit, but then when you start to remind yourself of the guy who's actually going through this, 18-year-old, he's just out there grinding, trying to get back in. I'm hoping that all the strength tests that he goes extremely well this week, and it's something to where we can start the ramping back up, and maybe by SEC tournament play, he's able to give you and fill in for those Brandon Garrison moments. But Jake, I can't help but think it's not going to happen. So, Big Blue Nation, don't come at me with the pitchforks or anything. If this guy got cleared for this Florida game on Saturday in Rupp Arena, how much I would love to see him going up against Chinaloo, Howe, and Condon. How much
that's the kind of team you would desperately need him against. I think we said that last time against Florida. Like, how nice would it be to have a freak athlete that can go out there and rebound and, go down low against those guys. So, yeah, I mean, that would be the kind of game you wish you had him for. But I don't know. I guess going back, let's say you briefly mentioned it. Let's say you don't get Cam or JQ back, and I still think that's probably the most likely scenario. Where has your thoughts on this team kind of shifted to, and how good can we be essentially with the 8 guys we kind of have right now, 9 guys, I guess, with Trent?
I mean, with the roster as it is, without getting any of those guys back, and obviously, like, the further you go in the NCAA tournament, the more length of time you give for Jaden to possibly come back or to Cam to potentially come back. I still think Sweet 16 is probably the ceiling. But then again, it also depends. You know how March is,
Oh
Jake. It
yeah.
really depends on the matchups you get. And we've seen this team pull off games against St. John's, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Tennessee twice. Like you've seen their ability to go out and beat good teams. You've also seen their ability to lose to teams like Missouri and Georgia. So your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I texted you that if you get JQ back and you tell me he's fully healthy and I can just have him take that Brandon Garrison role, I think that's an extra game in March. I really do. That's how highly I think of Jaden and his ability to help this team. Now, granted, I will say this: me personally, I can't think of a better 1-2 big man punch right now for this roster than Jaden Quaintance and Andrea Yelovich that I'd love to see out there. Will Pope do that? Probably not, because he just. Sometimes I think he watches the show, Jake, and he's like, "Oh, Cam wants to see Yelovich play in the second half." No, it's not happening. We just can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, I this was one I was surprised Yelovich didn't get more run in the second half. We've talked, Yelovich has kind of had his moments, but I thought even in kind of some of those games where he didn't play as much down the stretch, it was like, well, what you're getting from Mo has been so good, and I disagreed with Pope on not playing Yelovich at the 5, but like if you're not going to, I understood there were moments where you probably couldn't take Mo off the floor. I thought Mo was fine in this game, but it wasn't like he was giving you one of those performances where I don't think you could have not taken him off the floor.
Yeah.
I will say, how about Mo going 6 of 8 from the free throw line?
Right.
That's, I
How
mean,
about the team in general? 20 of 25.
yeah. I mean, heck, and there was a point even like Vandy was like perfect from the line. I don't know what they finished at, but like, um, yeah, I think as far as with this team currently, I think we're still just kind of where we've been all year, right? The roller coaster of emotions. Like, could they come out and lose to a 10 or 11 seed, depending on what you get in the tournament in the first round? Absolutely. Could they get matched up against a 2 or 3 in the second round and beat them? Yeah. And it's going to sound like kind of loser talk because we are Kentucky and there's no such thing as moral victories. When you look at what this team's done over the past, 2 months outside of getting killed at Vandy in the Georgia game, like for the most part, they've looked pretty good. Even the lost to Florida, when we're watching what Florida is doing to every other team in the SEC right
Yeah.
now. And I know you lost by 9 or whatever, but you were in it for the majority of the game. And when you see that they just beat Arkansas by 40 and they've beat, it feels like every other team by 20 to 30, like, I'm not going to say, that's a moral victory or anything, but I do think it shows that like this team's not as far behind as some of these other teams as we think. And I still I think Florida's probably one of the 5 to 6 best teams in the country. So if you tell me outside of the top 6 teams in the nation, you can compete with just about anybody, then I'm with you. It's all about the draw. If you don't have to face one of those teams till the Elite 8, is there a path for this team to make the Elite 8? Yeah. Is there a path where, again, they come out and lose to a 10 seed in the first round? Absolutely.
I mean, that's as good as we can explain it. And I'm looking just like browsing the top 25. I mean, there's teams that like, if we played Texas Tech right now, I don't think I would look at that game and say, "Oh, can't win that
Without
game."
JT Toppin,
That
yeah.
I mean, even Nebraska's ranked 9th right now. I mean, there's a lot of good matchups that I think just depending on how it drew up, who's healthy.
I really think outside the top 5 plus Florida, like you're right there.
I don't think we match up well with Alabama either. I think that's kind of been proven. Just
Yeah.
just in general, I just don't think that's a good for whatever reason. I mean, this is not that great of an Alabama team, and I think that's been proven throughout the year. I still don't think that's a team. I mean, yeah, I mean it's where we've been at all season. It's kind of just like
Yep.
you look at this team through stretches and you're like, man, they're really finding something. And even after the Florida game, we're like, just how you mentioned there. You lose by 9, but it was at their place. You gave them a run. Florida's on a heater right now. But then they go out and lose to Georgia at home and then find a way to just piss all down their leg for that Auburn game and lose that one.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right, well, which team is this? Is this the team that had just beaten Tennessee and put up a good game against Florida, or is this a team who lost to a bubble team at home and then on the road against a team who might not make the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, and I think like it's what we've said all year, like buckle in and hop on the roller coaster, right? I mean, it could be a very quick exit, or it could be something that's kind of fun, but at least now,
at least it's fun now.
Yes, it's fun. You can see a vision where you can possibly make a little bit of a run and win 2 or 3 games in the tournament. Like, that's not something a few months ago I even would have thought. I mean, hell, if you go back to December after that Gonzaga game, I didn't think this team was even making the tournament. So, like, I'm not gonna, sit here and say I'm lowering the expectations. And I think there's plenty of big time conversations to have in the off season about why this year didn't go the way we planned and what's next for Kentucky basketball. But at the end of the day, right now, you got the team you got, and you just got to try to enjoy it. And I think, there is a path for this team. I don't want to brag. I think I might have this team figured out. It feels like every time I'm telling you a week in advance that they're going to win a game, they go and win it. If, games I feel bad about. Also, not to toot the own horn, but you know where I'm going here. I got to throw it in.
I know exactly where you're going.
At the end of last week's pod, I told you, I expect a bounce back from Otega, and he was going to score 20+, and I think I said on 9 of 16 shooting, and that was exactly what he went out and did. So, I mean, at some point, Cam, you'll acknowledge me for the ball, know where I am, but that's not why I do this. I don't hop on here just to get flowers from you.
I think it is. I remember somebody maybe 3 minutes after the game concluding sending me the clip of him saying Otega was going 9 of 16 from the floor.
It was a little further after that because I was watching somebody. It took like 15 minutes, and then I saw someone tweet the box score. I didn't even realize that it had happened, and I was like, wait, Otega shot what? And then I had to try to remind myself, did I actually say that? So I had to go back and listen for my own personal, fact checking.
I had to refresh the brain to make sure that was something you said out loud and maybe on air, actually.
Hey, there is a clip out there. The proof is on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm on there saying it.
Look at that promo. First time I've heard this guy do a promo for the podcast this entire time.
I'm a team player, man. Everybody knows it.
We've talked about this Vandy game. I think we were both very pleased, obviously, with almost everyone. I mean, was there anybody
in this
predicted game?
It, one of us did it.
Yep. Yeah, I told you you were gonna have a chance to win the game. It's just whether you took that opportunity or not. I also not sure if I saw this team shooting 11 of 22 from 3. And
Collins started like 5 of 6 or something?
That was with Collins getting taken away, which, Jake, I don't know if I'm in the minority on. I think it was the correct call. Collins he's been doing this. If you watch, and I will say this, he does awkwardly land on every 3-point shot he shoots. So there is a little bit of a basis for he does do this a lot. He does do it. It's a little Reggie Miller-esque. He floats the foot out there.
I have a slightly different take on it. Like, by rule, is it a foul? Yes. Does it happen 100 times every game that doesn't get called? Yes. I think they called it because the ref realized he missed the push-off a second before. Because to free himself up, Collin pushed as hard as he could. And I think for some reason the ref didn't call it and was like, oh, my God, I screwed that up. And then he saw that leg go out, and he just called that one to make up for it.
It's a classic make-up call.
Yep. But, I mean, it is a call, too, that a lot of times you see it go the other way. A lot of times they call that on the defense, whether right or wrong. But by the rule book, I'm with you. It didn't drive me crazy for them to call it that way. I understood it.
And then your guy. He's been known as Jake's guy. Brandon Garrison gets absolutely pounded in the face. And just, first off, Doug Show's going right to the
monitor.
him getting his time and saying it's a common foul. And all of Rupp
He threw
Arena
that
just
in on purpose because he knew the reaction.
I'm honestly surprised there wasn't water bottles thrown. There wasn't Gatorades chucked. There wasn't some Miller Lights making their way down there. I know if one Jacob Boyers was there would have been a 12-ounce Miller Lite going right after Duck Shows before he.
Never.
I think they got the call right. Obviously, they ended up upgrading it to a flagrant one.
Well, they called it a dead ball technical, which is practically a flagrant one.
Yeah,
I think you could have thrown him out. It's another one.
But I don't think anything was malicious. I just think McLaughlin's not very good.
Am I outraged that they didn't throw him out? Not really. But I mean,
also for you, if it was going to happen to anyone, that was probably your first pick in the draft.
No, I do think I think it was pretty clear that the rest of the team didn't even really notice it because, I mean, I think if Otega would have saw that in real time, he would have been ready to throw down. And I think they just kind of all ignored it, and then they turn around, and next thing you know, BG is lying on the floor holding his teeth. So
I'll say that's the one thing I think that has been kind of turned the season around a little bit. Just a team camaraderie. It feels like any of those guys would have stepped up for anyone, and that's something. 2 months ago, that Gonzaga game, Michigan State game, we're thinking the exact opposite. We're trying to figure out who is the problem in the locker room. Why is everything not meshing?
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking about guys stepping up for each other. We're talking about, Otega calling him and Denzel and Collin the three-headed goat. And we're talking, just talking their guys up so much game in, game out. Even if, guys aren't performing at a high level, they're talking about how they're going to change it in the next outing.
Well,
it's been refreshing to see.
Yeah, I told you last week that's been one of my biggest praises of Mo, really, since the LSU game. The way he's responded in that role, and he was a guy that anybody that sat behind the UK bench would tell you, like, he's constantly yelling at coaches. He's constantly yelling at the other players. You would see it when the camera would catch him on the floor. A lot of times it would be his mistake and he was screaming at Malachi or whatever. Like, it does feel like he's kind of embraced growing into the player he is now. And I think the maturity from the Missouri game to now, with the soft benching, I think it's been night and day. And I think you see a little bit even from Aberdeen earlier on. It felt like he was constantly, complaining about other people when himself wasn't playing very well. And for him to kind of, now step into, we kind of criticized when he said he felt like he was a leader of the team however long ago. And me and you both came on here and were like, well, you don't act like a leader and this and that, and gave all this type of criticism. And now it really feels like he is leaning into that role and the guys are kind of embracing him. And I'm with you. It feels like the guys they connect more. And maybe that is because there's less guys out there and you don't, no offense to him, you don't have a Jalen Lowe that, like, you feel like he's got to be kind of the guy. You don't, have Cam Williams that at times you feel like you got to, get involved. Like, it just feels like everybody's kind of coming back more into their roles. And that's nothing against those guys. I think it's just kind of having the less personalities and less players out there. It's kind of got everybody into their role a little better.
And this is why we've made such emphasis this entire season on shortening the rotation and not playing so many guys, is so you can find everybody's role and find who does what well, what guy to go to at what time. And we're starting to see some of the fruits of that. Jake, do you have anything else to talk about when it comes to this Vanderbilt game? Because I'd like to get into SEC standings. Obviously, we got the A&M game tomorrow. Got anything else for this Vandy game, or are you ready to put a bow on it?
No, yeah, I think we kind of hit on everything. I'll give one more quick shout out to Malachi because I feel like we kind of brushed over him quickly.
It's expected now, man. It really is.
But like when you look at it, that Vandy game was probably one of his worst in SEC play, or really honestly throughout the year. It felt like we talk about McLaughlin. I mean, McLaughlin, I don't think is a very good basketball player, but he's a guy that's going to play extremely physical and, kind of irritate you. And there were multiple times here, Malachi, even going back to talking about when Vandy would cut it to 13, there were multiple times they just threw the ball into Malachi and he hit that little, good post move. His game around the rim is getting so much better. And I mean, that was always obviously his strength, but it does feel like his ability to score in the post when you kind of need a bucket at times, it's there. So give one quick shout out to Malachi, and yeah, we can put a bow on this thing and talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, the Malachi praise is definitely deserved. It's crazy that a true freshman that we didn't expect to play much is now a guy we're talking about is just being Mr. Consistent. And
thank God your starting plan at center hasn't worked.
That's where I was going. And when you're talking about what the plan was coming in with the bigs, if you would have told me this is where we were at, and we keep saying that week in, week out, but it is crazy to see. Currently, we are 5th in the SEC standings. We're behind Missouri, Arkansas, Bama, and Florida. We do still have a chance to get a double bye, Jake.
Whew. You can even lose tomorrow and get one, right? Like
I think you can lose to Florida. I think you have to beat A&M, if I remember.
I thought it was the other way. I thought there was a path where, but I don't know. Regardless, the fact it's on the table is pretty insane.
A&M is 9-7 in the conference, and we're 10-6 in the conference. So if they beat us, they would have the tiebreaker, and then they could win. So I think we have to beat A&M tomorrow for that double bye.
Maybe it's that if we lose to A&M, but then come back and beat Florida, and A&M loses. I don't know, whatever.
But I mean, either way, we're talking about.
It's on the table.
We went from 2 weeks ago fighting. 2 weeks ago we went from fighting for first place in the SEC, or 3 weeks ago with that game against Florida, and then you lose 3 straight, and it's like, oh, dude, we're playing at 1 p.m. against whoever, and you're like, oh, we're talking about Wednesday again, and again to this roller coaster of emotions we've had with this basketball team, and now we're talking about controlling your own destiny potentially to getting a double bye. And I mean, if you look at it, it's truly on the table. Missouri still has to play Arkansas. That's a game they could very well lose. Arkansas has to play Texas and Missouri, and then Tennessee still has to play Vandy. So I mean, the 3 teams that are all right in your little bracket right there that you're fighting for spots with, all have tough games. Now, granted, so do you. You got to go play on the road in College Station and then have Florida at home, but what are you thinking? If you had to pick a prediction now, based on the week that we have ahead, where do you think the Cats are when it comes to this time, Wednesday of next week? What seed do the Cats get in the SEC tournament?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know about an exact seed just because I'll be completely honest. I haven't looked at all the tiebreakers and, hey, what's Tennessee going to do over their next 2 and A&M? I will say this. I think Kentucky goes 1-1 this week. And honestly, I'm probably picking the loss tomorrow night. And I think they come back and get Florida in the last game of the season. But I think if you can find a way to stay, whether you get the double bye or not, if you can find a way to stay either on that 4 or 5 line, I think is huge. If you tell me you get a second round matchup, Friday matchup against a Missouri, or, maybe if you're the 4 and they even get upset on Thursday and you don't have to face a Florida until Saturday, like I'll sign up for that now. And that I think that's your safest bet to get to the weekend of the SEC tournament, which we haven't done since 2019. So I think they go 1-1. However, the chips fall from there with all these other teams. Who the hell knows? I think we talk about Kentucky being inconsistent in the SEC. I think you look around the conference and it's just the conference in general. Like, would you be surprised if Arkansas wins their last 2? No. Would you be surprised if they lose them both? No. So I think there's a there's a lot of inconsistency in this conference. So I think you just kind of try to take care of business, win one of these next two. Regardless, you pretty much guaranteed you got yourself out of the Wednesday conversation here for the most part. So I think that's huge. But yeah, I mean, if you tell me that this team can somehow sneak into that 4 seed and, again, just have to win on Friday and then you don't face Florida until Saturday, I think that's a massive success and win from where you were just a week ago after blowing a game to Auburn.
Yeah, you still have the potential to get the 3 seed, which is kind of crazy.
If you figure that one out, I'm for it, but that's going to take a lot of.
Say right, it doesn't take too much. It requires you handling your own business, which would be winning both of your last 2 games, and then it just requires Arkansas to lose one. What that
that's very possible
is what you would need. So you just need, and they play Missouri. I mean, they've got to play Texas and Missouri. Both are going to be March Madness teams that are going to make the tournament. Tennessee gets to play South Carolina, so there's a win for them. But then they have the tough test against Vanderbilt, and you already have the tiebreaker over them.
Yep.
So when you're talking about it, like, it's on the table, the 3 seed is. So, and I look at it even more of, we want to make a deep run in the SEC tournament. But just listening, and I know it's different men's versus women's, listening to Kenny Brooks when he's talking, they unfortunately have to play on Wednesday. I think if you asked Kenny Brooks right now, I don't think he wants to make a deep SEC tournament run, because then you're talking about
5 games.
5 games in 5 days, and then the very next week you're going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. And I think that would be the best thing for the Cats, is just having from Saturday, not having to lace them up again until Friday, just having that off time. And we're talking about guys that we want to get back on the court, Cam Williams, Jaden Quaintance, buying them some extra time. I mean, let's say Jaden Quaintance is back for the SEC tournament. You want him playing 4 games in 4 days? Do you want him playing potentially 5 games in 5 days? No. So I think the best thing is just for them to get in there, hopefully get that double bye. It's still very much on the table. Let everybody get their legs under them. We're talking about how Collin, Denzel, and Otega are all playing 34 minutes plus a game. Get them some extra rest. I think that's where it's the best thing, rather than even just making a run in the tournament, because I think it's been proven, whether the selection show says it or not, I don't think much is made of what happens in those tournament standings.
Yeah, I mean, especially, on Sunday in a championship game. I mean, I do think if you, whatever, let's say you're the 5 seed and you beat Missouri on Friday, and I don't know, maybe you can keep improving your tournament seed slightly, but yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it'll be a massive one unless somehow you go and you beat a Florida in the semifinals or something like that. Then I think that's obviously a pretty marquee win that'll help you jump. But yeah, I mean, just keep pace, right? Like, whether I'm probably going to predict a loss tomorrow night. Just, you can't go out there and, like, don't lose all this momentum by getting ran like you did against Vandy or whatever. Like, even if you lose this game, I think, objectively speaking, like, this is a game where you can lose. I don't know what the line is. I don't know if it's out yet, but, like, at A&M on paper, that's not a breeze. So if you can find a way just to win one of these last 2, keep good positive momentum heading into Nashville. That's the other part of this that we haven't talked about. Like, you're going back to Nashville, which we've never seen this team play good in. Like, I don't know what it is about that city. You have
I can't say something, Jake.
And it was a buzzer beater.
I go to the SEC tournament virtually every year. As of time of recording, I will have family there, but I am not sure if I will be there. So maybe that's the blessing.
I think
maybe
so.
It is what it is.
I think we got to keep you locked in your apartment the whole time we're in Nashville.
Well, I do want to say to, like, the UK media credentialing staff and everyone who oversees the basketball program when it comes to media, I've been credentialed for 2 men's basketball games this year, and it's been your 2 biggest wins. I'm not going to say it was me and that I had something to do with it.
I mean,
I'm
people
also
are
saying
saying.
I'm also saying you can't prove that I wasn't the reason that you didn't beat Arkansas on the road and St. John's in Atlanta.
I mean, yeah, we can leave you. We can leave you home for Nashville, but I mean, we might have to send a letter to Mitch Barnhart about NCAA tournament and making sure you're there.
We're going to have to figure it out because
Watch us have to go to like
the
Sacramento, and you
results.
gotta fly out to Sacramento. You finally
I
get
gotta
credentialed,
drive.
and you go.
I'm gonna have to drive out to Sacramento, get out there. By the time I get out there, the game's already over. But I'm looking right now at the projections based on Ken Palm, the latest ones as of Sunday. Right now, they currently got us projected as a 5 seed in the SEC tournament. You'd be facing the winner of Ole Miss and Oklahoma, and then if you win that game,
Sign me up for that.
you'd go on to face Missouri, who's currently
That's a path.
to be the
That's
4
two
seed.
very winnable games. You get your lick back against Missouri, and then yeah, you probably
And you
lose to Florida on Saturday, but
yeah.
Whatever. Sign
I
me
think we
sign
would.
me up for that one.
I think we would obviously all like to double bye first, but if you're playing on Thursday to get 2 wins and then you happen to lose to Florida, one of the best teams in the country, you still get another day off. You don't have to play a whole nother game. It might be one of those things that is a blessing in disguise. Let's talk about this Texas A&M game now. Now that we've talked about the SEC standings,
A&M is a 1.5 point favorite, by the way. I just looked it up. So,
Jake, I believe you're higher on this A&M team than I am. This is one that we've kind of looked at differently throughout the entire season when we've done our projections. I know this is a road game, but tell me what about this game makes you feel a little uneasy.
I still think like we've seen this A&M team be pretty good. I mean, they do have some bad losses, and they've kind of stacked up here. But like they also had probably some games they should have won that they lost. I mean, I remember that Alabama game they lost by 3. They probably should have won that. They lost to Missouri by 1. I mean, them losing to Texas after getting killed at Arkansas, I don't think is a strong sight. I look at it very similar to almost how I looked at that Auburn game, except I think A&M's a better team than Auburn. Like A&M for their seeding desperately needs this. Like they're going to make the tournament probably pretty much regardless, unless they just happen to lose out and then lose their first game in the SEC tournament. Even then, I think they're probably still in. But they're a team that just desperately needs a win, and I think it comes back to us as much as it does them. We've seen this team on weeknights on the road, even at home a couple times, like SEC play. They don't bring it for whatever reason, or have their best stuff. Like Kentucky winning, would it surprise me? No, right? I think again, you're looking at it. Vegas has this game as a 1.5 point, almost a pick 'em, right? So, but I just think you pretty much need all 3 of your guards to play really well. And are they capable of that? Absolutely. Again, have we seen a game where 1 or 2 of them just doesn't play well for whatever reason? Absolutely. And I think, it's just one of those feelings. I don't think it's that A&M's some great team, but if you win it, just think about though, if you do win it, imagine what Saturday with Florida rolling in here is going to be like. Like it'll be back to, we've had a few of these moments over the last couple of years, but not nearly as frequent as we've had in the past. But like you'll have an environment similar to that Florida game a year ago. Like this place will be unhinged. We'll be all back on board talking ourselves into, if we come out and beat Florida, we're all the way back and we're talking Final Four again. So
yeah,
don't get me wrong. Like now I'm starting to talk myself into how much fun how much fun will Wednesday's podcast be if we come out and win. But my gut just tells me that this isn't gonna be a Cats W.
Well, as of recently, your gut's been right. So
It's a big gut,
I'm,
man. It's got a lot
I'm
of feeling in there.
so I'm hesitant to pick against you. I just A&M is 2-6 in their last 8. They've played a lot of good teams in there. They've played Arkansas. They've played Alabama, like you
Auburn
mentioned.
lost their
Florida.
last 5. Georgia
I
lost their
I
last 4 or
I
5,
I
whatever the hell it
I know that.
was. So,
I know they did. And that's part of what I'm a little uneasy about. I'm gonna pick the Cats to win this game.
I like it.
It's crazy how I'm gonna say this. I just can't think of a better way to vocalize it. It only happened a week and a half ago, and it was that Auburn game. But I think they've learned something from that game, more of just like you can't play around while you're on the road. You
Yep.
have a 7-point lead. You have to keep it at that. You can't, let a team stick around to where a questionable foul call can turn the game and you lose it on the road. Because if it can happen, there's a good chance that it will. I think it's something that they've learned from. I think it's something that the staff has hopefully learned from. And I think this is going to be a nice building block win for the Cats to go into a huge matchup against Florida at home, 4 p.m. I mean, that'll be electric, Jake. We might have to find a way to get down there.
Yeah. And not to go back to talking myself into it, but like,
Talk
do think,
yourself into it. I
like,
like when you talk yourself into it.
no, but like back to your point of the Auburn game and like what they've learned from it, I do agree they probably have learned, but like also think about like just how much kind of had to go right for Auburn in that second half, right? You need Collin Chandler's worst half of basketball where he's
Mm-hmm.
taking bad shots and having multiple really really bad turnovers that just gifted Auburn points. You have the
Yeah.
questionable foul call, right? Like again, you don't
Collins
want to,
scored 10 points and had 5 turnovers in that game, and all 5 of those turnovers were in the second half.
and it felt, and like 3 of them were like within consecutive plays, and
Yeah.
and still it comes down to a very questionable Collin Chandler push off call that gives them the chance to win, and Mo Diabate and Brandon Garrison not grabbing a rebound, and like so like there was still kind of
Well,
a
Brandon Garrison not grabbing a rebound. Mo had just made a block.
yeah
So,
yeah, but point being like Auburn still got pretty lucky to get out of there with that win. But I'm with you, man. Just if you get up 7, and it was what I was texting you with Andy, but the bench didn't kill you. Like if you get up, you gotta just keep your foot on the gas, man. You gotta leave at least those guards in there to keep making plays for you. And if Colin's hot, I don't want to see him on the bench. I did see someone tweet out like the picture of Tayshaun, and it was after he hit his second 3 against North Carolina, and they were like, at this moment, Pope would have called a timeout and pulled him. So, like,
that's what it feels like.
I don't want to be in that boat, but just ride the hot hands. This is a very winnable game. I am with you in that aspect, even without picking it. Like everything's in front of you. Just do your thing, and don't let Jasper come in and commit a bunch of turnovers quickly to kill you. Like I know he's going to have to play, but when you got him in there, I would try to play him as much with Denzel as possible outside of maybe the 2 minutes you have to give Denzel a breather. But that's kind of what I'm looking for, and what I hope to see, whether you win or lose tomorrow.
I think this could be like a pole vaulting type game. You go and win it on the road. This can be
You
something
need
that
it.
really springboards you into the tournaments, both of them. And just think about the boost of confidence you get. You avenge that Vanderbilt loss at home. You kind of take care of them. You go beat a good Texas A&M team on the road, and then you just have this giant matchup with Florida. Let's say a couple balls bounce your way, you win that game against Florida. Talk about the momentum that you're starting to build going into March. Everything's turning Kentucky
You,
blue. You and
you
I are over here. We're on
we
cloud
we
nine.
we could be talking about a potential 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. I think
Exactly.
right
And
now you're projected as a 6. I think if you win just one of these last 2 and then a game in the SEC tournament, I think you're probably on that 6 line. So you come out and go 2-0, and don't kill yourself in the conference tournament. Like team could be playing back to a 5, dare I say 4 seed. Like, how funny
that
would
one
it
might be
be?
a
How
little
funny would it be if we jump to a 5 and like Louisville falls to a 6 or a 7 after all they've talked?
I'd be
Is Pat
surprised if they
Kelsey
got
ever gonna win a big game there?
I'd be surprised if they got a 6 or a 7 seed the way things are going right now. To be completely honest with you,
I think right now they're a 6, but I mean they're trending down.
Either way, I mean things are not good.
Also, real quick before we give our predictions, what do you how much did you love Otega's quote today, or it was either today or yesterday? I guess it was today when they asked him, what's your favorite moment as a Wildcat so far, and he said it's coming up. These guys
I didn't hear it.
Yeah. I think it was somebody from KSR asked him. They were like, this Saturday is going to be your senior day. What's your, outside of maybe the buzzer beaters, what's been kind of your favorite moment? And he said, my favorite moment's yet to come. So these guys are believing it. They're feeling it.
I love it, and I'm hoping they take it into obviously Tuesday. Hopefully, they're not looking past this game on Tuesday. I'm gonna give you my score prediction before you get into yours. Cats find a way to find a way to win this game. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty. There might be some early turnovers. 88-83 Cats, and you and I come in here on Wednesday, and the smile's starting to get a little bit wider.
This is another game. Like, if you tell me they win, I don't care how they win. I don't care how ugly it is early. Even if it's one of those games where you fight back from 15, you tell me they win, I'm for it. But yeah, I am on the other end again. Just kind of a gut feeling. I have slightly lower scoring game than you. I'd say I'm going to say A&M 78, Cats 75.
And just to clarify, right now, when you're looking at the last 4 teams in, or the last 4 buys, looking at bracketology, all 4 are SEC teams.
Yeah.
Georgia, Missouri, Texas
the
A&M,
inconsistent conference, man.
And Texas. So we're still talking about like a bubble team in Texas A&M. So hopefully the Cats go out and prove that they are more than just a bubble team and they can win these games in difficult environments. And looking at it, Jake, the last update had Louisville with a 6 seed, and they would get to play Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That'd be such an easy 11 seed.
Yeah,
to get.
But how funny would it be if Pat Kelsey lost that game? On 3's got Kentucky at 7. Awesome. I don't know what ESPN's got us at, but
it's at a 7. Yeah.
On 3's got us playing UCF in St. Louis. I'll tell you, sign me up for that. With Illinois as your 2 seed.
Yeah, this has us with Illinois as the 2 seed as well, but playing the 10 and SMU in Buffalo. And the Cats get some good stuff from Buffalo. The Cats get some good stuff from Buffalo, Jake. I don't know if you know, Clara Strack's from Buffalo, so the Cats do good work in Buffalo.
We beat Buffalo in the NCAA tournament. Won the Mohamed Diabate
team.
Hamadou.
That's how you know we've gone on a little too long here. But, gee, just 2 minutes real quick. Kentucky now trending again for Tyran Stokes, potentially getting him on campus at the end of the season has looked like what is being reported.
His coach said he's going to visit one more time.
Has anything we've done with this basketball team not been a roller coaster?
No.
Tyran's recruitment's been a roller coaster. It's us versus Louisville, and then it's Kentucky to lose. All they got to do is he's just got to sign the deal, and then next thing you know, it's all Kansas. Done deal at Kansas, and then it's like, there's a little bit of steam coming for Kentucky, but not too much. It's still Kansas to lose. Now it's looking like it's a lot back more into that toss-up range. Just give me 15 seconds on whatever you got for it.
I don't care what the check looks like. I don't care if you're scared that he's whatever kind of fit.
Chad Baker Mazzara.
I don't care, man. Roll the dice. If it doesn't work out, whatever. We can have
It's a year and you can let him go.
Absolutely. And you know what? Pope's learned to work with rosters that he doesn't think he's going to have coming into the year. The last 2 years he's done it, whether it's, these two, it's been due to injuries. If next year it's because of a, character issue, so be it. I don't care. Hand the kid whatever check it takes to get him across the finish line. I still think, it probably is Kansas, but if you have the opportunity and he comes into Lexington, you just hand him a blank check and say, what will it take for you to not leave, and do it, and let's go. I mean, the one thing you can't question with him is his talent, and it's a out of this world talent that, that recruiting class next year is not like this year where there's 8 other guys. There's a couple. So if you can find a way to get one, get it done.
And just from an optics wise, you can't lose 2 in-state kids to Kansas. You can't do it with Talon Kinney and Tyran Stokes. You can't lose both of them to Kansas. Go out, get it done. Big Blue Nation, that's all from the Cats Talk podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed Jake and I's conversation on Kentucky's massive win over Vanderbilt. Jaden Quainton's potentially coming back. Is Cam Williams coming back? Hopefully we'll have more news for you on Wednesday, along with breaking down, hopefully, a Kentucky Wildcats win on the road versus Texas A&M. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Cats Talk podcast on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you guys get your podcasts. We're getting there. Jake, let's go get a win on Tuesday night.
I'm for it, man.
Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.